Cheers and tears as Team Taiwan knocks it out of the park with its first World Baseball title. Civil groups in Taiwan raised the alarm after Hong Kong democracy activists sentenced. Local dentists protest a plan they say will leave Taiwan wide open to malpractice. Plus, a call for action as a UN summit tries to address out-of-control plastic waste. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Betty Chen. Taiwan has achieved baseball glory, winning the WBSC Premier12 tournament. The win is the first of its kind for Taiwan and marks a major milestone in the country's sports history. Leslie Liao has more.
Cheers, tears, and baseball immortality. Taiwan won its first ever World Baseball title at the national team level, going all the way at the 2024 Premier12 tournament in the Tokyo Dome. The team clinched gold after defeating defending champions Japan 4-0 in an upset victory that rocked the sports world. Going into the final match, Taiwan faced a daunting challenge. Japan's national team hadn't lost a game in 5 years and was on a 27-game win streak. But Taiwan rose to the occasion, scoring 4 runs on a pair of home run hits. In the 5th inning, catcher Lyle Lin hit a solo shot. Shortly afterward, team captain Chen Jie-xian hit a 3-run blast.
我也很对我们团队很感到骄傲，就是我们走到最后一天，然后到了最后一天还是拿到金牌这样。
Taiwan's starting pitcher Lin Yumin and the rest of the pitching staff held Japan scoreless and limited their offense to just 4 hits.
我想哭可哭不出来，因为感觉还没有反应过来，因为这对我们来说其实是一个梦，所以我觉得有点很不可思议的感觉。
For a country where baseball is the national sport, the achievement has been a long time coming. Across Taiwan, people packed into watch parties and erupted into sheer joy at the moment of victory. Team Taiwan's victory has lifted the country's spirits, and it's become a major source of national pride.
蛮感动的，对，我把颁奖典礼都看完，对，因为很难得站上颁奖典礼，对，所以我把颁奖典礼全部看完。
我觉得很感动，陈杰宪超帅的。
其实蛮多人都不太看好的，但是我觉得。 正是因为他们不断的训练，他们敢于去挥杆，可能到训练到很晚，他们重新在这个舞台证明自己。
Taiwan's previous best performance was winning silver at the 1992 Barcelona Olympics, over 3 decades ago. But this most recent win writes a new chapter in Taiwan baseball, one where Taiwan has won it all and earned its place as world champions. Patrick Sun and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
After the sentencing of 45 of the so-called Hong Kong 47 pro-democracy activists under a new national security law, civil groups in Taiwan are protesting the decision. Chris Goring reports from Taipei.
民主自由本无罪，一国两制是谎言。
More civil society groups here in Taipei are condemning the arrest and conviction of a group of Hong Kong pro-democracy activists known as the Hong Kong 47 and is calling for their release.
第一，中共应立即释放包括此次宣判的45人及所有遭受不公平司法审判的民主运动人士。第二，中共应立即撤销对所有香港民主运动人士的政治指控。第三。 中共应立即撤回国安法，实行真普选，恢复香港民主。
All but 2 of the 47 activists and former politicians were convicted last week under a Beijing-imposed national security law. Authorities say the 47's holding of an unofficial primary for legislative candidates was an attempt to overthrow the government. Human rights groups and leaders around the world have condemned the sentencing, calling it an unjust attempt to suppress dissent. Those sentiments were echoed by those here today who say that the case has significance for Taiwan as well.
如果你主权丧失之后，其实不用谈了。所以这个是警告我们台湾人民，尤其年轻朋友，台湾的民主、台湾的自由人权得来不易，应该更珍惜。
It reminds me that our history about white terror. Do you know 白色恐怖? Yes. So the history is never the past. China, they say they want to beat us every day, or so of course we are a little bit afraid of China. Maybe one day they will send their army to us, but we still have to do this right.
While the civil groups here say there's little chance of the 45 Hong Kong activists to be released or for political rights to return to Hong Kong, they say they'll keep working to support those fighting for democracy in the territory. Fu Ha Hong and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
The Guardian is reporting that Taiwan's former president Tsai Ing-wen was supposed to visit the UK last month but was stopped by the British Foreign Office. Citing a leaked letter, Tsai was originally going to spend 2 days in London and could have addressed Parliament. However, an anonymous source said the UK Foreign Office asked Tsai to postpone her visit because Foreign Secretary David Lammy was visiting China at the same time. Beijing opposes high-level visits by Taiwanese politicians to other countries, and the office worried Tsai's trip could have interfered with Lammy's. Tsai was in Europe for the first international trip since leaving office at the time. She visited France, Belgium, and the Czech Republic. There's been talk of inviting Tsai to visit the UK next spring, but that may also conflict with another high-level British visit to China. Local Taiwanese dentists are protesting against a new government program aimed at improving dental care in rural areas. It would expand opportunities for foreign-educated dentists to get internships in Taiwan, who they worry are not properly qualified. Cadence Quantara reports.
Hundreds of Taiwanese dentists and dental students march in Taipei, calling for tighter restrictions on opportunities for dentists who are educated overseas to work in Taiwan. They say there should be a limit on the number of internship spots for foreign-educated dentists in Taiwan, which they call "bo dentists," because some study in Poland. And they are opposing a new $73 million government plan that aims to improve dental care in rural areas, because it would expand opportunities for foreign-trained dentists to get these internships and potentially work as dentists in Taiwan.
政府为了开波波大门，拟了一个24亿的假偏乡计划。我们要让这24亿真正进入偏乡，我们不能够容许民脂民膏被拿来帮权贵子弟铺当医生的后门。
The concern over these Bobo doctors comes after one of them improperly performed a surgery in Taiwan last year, which caused their patient to die. There are also concerns that their training overseas does not adequately qualify them to practice medicine in Taiwan because a loophole in Taiwanese laws exempts some of them from one of the tests normally required to get a medical license here. But a group of internationally educated dentists push back against these claims, arguing their training is sufficient.
我们今天提供了多张的照片与资料，证明 国际牙医学生在海外学习期间完成严格的临床实习，临床实作非常的扎实，相较台湾实习1年，国际牙医都实习2年以上。
In response to the debate, the health ministry said that eligibility requirements for foreign-educated medical professionals may get stricter in the future. Eason Chen and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
The father of an Australian teen who died from methanol poisoning in Laos has pleaded with the local government to act to prevent further tragedies.
I would like to take this opportunity to urge the Lao government to investigate this to the fullest extent to make sure this incident doesn't happen again. We can't have the passing of our daughter, our daughter's life, not lead to change to protect others. Young men and women should be able to travel, create their own life experiences and be safe. We'll forever miss our beautiful girl and hope her loss of life has not been in vain.
19-year-old Bianca Jones was one of 6 people who died after drinking tainted alcohol while on holiday in Vang Vieng. As investigations into the deaths continue, the Lao government has vowed to bring those responsible to justice. Delegates from nations across the globe have arrived in the South Korean city of Busan, aiming to secure a legally binding global treaty to address plastic pollution. Debate is expected on whether the deal should slash production or center on waste management, amid divisions on policy. But if set in place, the treaty could become the most significant pact to address global climate warming emissions since the 2015 Paris Agreement. Rosie Greninger reports.
Hundreds of environmental activists take to the streets of South Korea's Busan as the 5th session of the United Nations Intergovernmental Committee, or INC5, gets underway in the city. The session aims to secure a world-first international treaty to curb the explosive growth of plastic pollution, and these demonstrators hope the delegates live up to the promise.
So INC5 and the Global Plastics Treaty represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity for us to address plastic pollution, what is a global problem at a global scale. And so we're here to demand that leaders from around the world step up and protect human health, our climate, and biodiversity from the scourge of plastic.
Nearly 500 million tonnes of plastic waste are produced each year, more than double the amount from 2 decades ago. It's proven a major issue, with pollution piling up in rivers and oceans and particles of plastic even found in clouds and human breast milk. To address the issue, the session's delegates from 175 countries will spend the next week negotiating an agreement that will be legally binding globally. Policies raised over the past 4 sessions include capping new plastic production at 2020 levels and mandating new products be made with at least 40% recycled plastic, something many developing countries are on board with as they struggle to cope with waste.
Reusable plastic cups is a very good idea because Sri Lanka facing huge plastic pollution using the single-use plastic cups and single-use items.
A broad coalition of countries has also supported going a step further by reining in production with a focus on restricting single-use plastics. That notion, even backed by the US, a major plastics producer, and supported by environmental activists.
We can't look at the waste management, solutions without looking at production caps. We have to slow down and start phasing out of plastic production and plastic products.
But the idea has some powerful opposers. Major producers of plastics and the fossil fuels used to make those materials, including China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Iran, want to focus on waste management. That's despite scientists saying recycling isn't keeping up with production, estimating only 9% of plastic waste is recycled globally. There are also fears the United States' incoming Trump administration could withdraw US support. Those lingering divisions are casting doubt on whether an agreement will be reached.
플라스틱 감축 목표에 대한 논의도 지금 진전이 전혀 되고 있지가 않고, 그리고 플라스틱 생산국하고 이제 소비국 간의 어떤 입장 차이가 실질적인 어떤 그 플라스틱 원료 생산 감축에 대한 합의를 굉장히 어렵게 하고 있고.
But while there are competing approaches to reduce plastic pollution, the broad consensus among delegates is that waste must be reduced. At the rate things are going, without a treaty, plastic production will double by 2050 and triple by 2060, an outcome no one here wants to see. And while debate is expected throughout the week, hopes are high that there will be some action towards lowering plastic pollution, whether or not session delegates agree on a full, final treaty. Alex Chen and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
Residents of a Manila slum are picking through the ashes after a massive fire ripped through their homes.
Dali, inuna namin yung mga anak namin na alikasin bago yung mga gamit namin na ilikas din.
Thousands of people have been displaced after a blaze engulfed a shantytown near a port in the Philippine capital on Sunday, destroying hundreds of buildings. There have been no reports of injuries or deaths. The cause of blaze remains unknown, though faulty electrical wiring is a common culprit in such incidents.
Siyempre, nanlulumo, wala nang hanap buhay, wala pang bahay. Lahat wala eh. Hindi ka na nga makakain. Grabe itong inabot namin. Papasko pa naman.
The country has a poor record in enforcing fire safety in these densely populated communities where more than 30% of the city's residents live. Invasive populations of green iguanas are spreading northwards. The lizards have been inflicting ecological and agricultural damage on southern Taiwan's Pingtung County for over a decade. An estimated 200,000 are now damaging farms in central Taiwan's Yunlin County. The government is urging residents to help them remove the iguanas. They aim to cull 120,000 next year.
云里沿海地区发现立裂器的行踪。近期云林县政府将邀集专家学者研商处理这件事情，并我们会召集有兴趣参与捕捉的民众进行人力培育。
Green iguanas are native to Central and South America and were introduced to Taiwan as pets in the early 2000s. They have no natural predators here. Coming up after the break, a music and dance exhibition in Taipei wants people to give hope, love, and peace a chance.
My name is Stephen Rong, and my Tile name is Hsiao Xu Li, and I've come to Taiwan to work as a performance artist. Join me on this journey as I discover my indigenous voice through culture and music.
Songs of our Ancestors, every Thursday, 8:15 p.m. on TaiwanPlus.
We bring you stories from Taiwan.
Every day of the week.
Our reporters travel the nation.
Exploring the issues that matter to you.
News from here in Taiwan and around the world.
What's up, Taiwan? On TaiwanPlus.
Start your weekend with a cup of coffee and a moment to reflect on what happened this week.
Hello and welcome.
We've got you covered, from defense and politics to high tech and the arts.
Not just to Taiwan, the whole world is watching.
You make the coffee,
we make the news.
Here's what happened on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. An innovative exhibition that combines music and dance, art and technology to spread a vital message has opened in Taipei. Cindy Chi went to see it.
Channeling intense emotions through the piano, Lu Jiahui has curated an exhibition in Taipei to share a message with the world, what she describes as an immersive performance exhibition called Hope, Peace, Love.
我们看一下欧洲它的那个战事未息，然后我们亚洲又军事的紧张，所以我们感受到战争正在残害人类的生命、文化跟古迹，所以我们希望透过音乐、美术、无国界的力量，然后我们要传达我们的 message 出去，能够有一点善念跟正能量的循环回来。
The exhibition underwent months of planning and incorporates 7 different fields, including culture, music, dance, theater, and technology.
它其实就像女人怀孕10月才有办法生产，那她可能过程中还可能会流产，或者是她连受孕都有困难，所以我觉得每一次的创作跟跨界都是一个 challenge。
Other than working with talent from different fields, the audience plays a vital part in making Hope, Peace, Love a success.
我觉得我们台湾现在面临一个很危险的危机四伏的时刻，所以我就在我的那个钢琴附近，就是用蜡烛围成台湾岛，我们会有一个互动的仪式，会请所有的观众朋友加入我们来做一个默祷，为世界、为和平、为自己的祈祷。
The exhibition is open to the public on weekends through the end of the month. Its message, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope, peace, and love can still be found.
Klein Wong and Sunny Chi for TaiwanPlus.
The Freedom Crossing Film Festival has just opened at the Penn Museum in Philadelphia. It's an event supporting independent films and documentaries from Taiwan. To find out more about the works involved, Sandy Chi sat down with curator Ming-hua Hsiao.
Ming-hua, can you tell us about the origin of the festival? How did it all start?
The film festival, Freedom Crossing Film Festival, was started during the pandemic. And during the pandemic, we all have a deep concern about this full crisis of the whole humanity. And at that time, we were thinking about what we can do to help people to deliver their free spirit to reach outside of the world when everybody was forced to stay inside. So at that time, we were thinking the spirit of freedom at that critical moment is the most important thing. So I started to create and curating the themes of life and death. And luckily, I find there are a lot of good documentaries and films in Taiwan that happen to care about those issues, about people's life. So I bring them over to the film festival.
Among all the films featured at the festival, there is Untold Her Story. What makes this film special?
There are not too many stories about white terror area in Taiwan, and this one is definitely a significant one. Especially the films address the female experience for the prisoners in Green Island during the 1950s to 1970s. And this period of time is a very special time when Taiwan was under authoritarian government, and there were a lot of people who lose their freedom if they try to express their rights, their opinions, or if they were acting something disobeying the government's order. So Taiwan had experienced such a dark time, and then we overcome this history and transform our country to a liberal democracy. And right now we are confident enough to look back to the history at that time and to reflect that history through the individual and the personal experience, and to see those women as a person, not as a criminals or the prisoner.
That was Ming-hua Hsiao, curator of the Freedom Crossing Film Festival. An American teenager who grew up playing football and listening to rap music will soon prepare to move to the Himalayas as the reincarnated leader of a Tibetan Buddhist sect. Ed O'Brien reports.
A group of traditional Tibetan dancers in the U.S. state of Minnesota are celebrating a unique moment. This is a special 18th birthday celebration for a Tibetan-American teenager who will soon head to the Himalayas as the reincarnated leader of a sect of Tibetan Buddhism. It's not just a party, it's an enthronement ceremony. Chalue Dorji loves collecting Pokemon cards, playing football, and listening to rap music, but he was picked to lead a different life from other children, and with a big task ahead of him, to ensure the continuity of Tibetan Buddhist religion and culture.
The easiest way to put it is like, it's just school overseas, but the stuff being taught, the stuff that I have to learn, it's a lot more complicated than college. But
Dorji was just 4 months old when he was recognized by a Tibetan Buddhist master as the reincarnation of a Rinpoche, an honorary title given to the most venerated Tibetan Buddhist lamas. At age 2, the Dalai Lama confirmed it. Dorji is held to be the 8th reincarnation of the prominent Nyingma monk Thaksam Rinpoche, a powerful spiritual role in Tibetan Buddhism. So while he grew up in the suburb of Minneapolis, Dorji balanced a life of playing American football with learning holy Buddhist scriptures in preparation for his future. Nestled in the Himalayas is the Mindroling Monastery in Indian state of Uttarakhand. After China took control of Tibet, many Tibetans fled to northern India, making a new home there and establishing a government in exile. The original Mindroling Monastery is in the part of Tibet ruled by China. But in 1965, leading lamas re-established a monastery near the Indian mountain town of Dehradun. Next year, Dorji will leave Minnesota and come here.
He and I have been talking a lot about, like, when you go to India, it's going to be a new culture, right? Because even though he's Tibetan and even though he's American, he'll be in India in a monastery. So we've been talking a little bit about what it's like to, you know, experience even another new culture. And I think that asking him about, like, how he feels about this big change in his life is probably something that's on his mind, and it's certainly something that all of us are thinking about too.
Dorji says he wants to follow in the footsteps of the Dalai Lama, Nelson Mandela and Gandhi and become a leader of peace in a troubled world. He will complete his spiritual learning in India and says he hopes to return to Minnesota to serve his community and continue the centuries-old tradition of reincarnate lamas. Though his young shoulders carry this burden of tradition and history until he graduates high school next year, he still has a few months left to play football and listen to rap like a regular American school kid. Adil Brar and Eason Chen for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we take you to Thailand for these lively scenes of an annual feast for the monkeys in Lapur City. I'm Betty Chen. Take care and see you next time.